Recently, I maxed my Runescape account, and in this video, I will be teaching you how to do the same. My first word of advice is don't max. Realign your goals, put this video on mute, hit the like button, and minimize the tab. If you don't want to heed my warning, let's get right on into it. The single most important piece of advice that I'm going to give you is that this is a marathon, not a sprint. Instead of straight shotting each skill to 99 in a row, it would be much better to set smaller, incremental goals that lead you to your final goal of the max cape. This way, you can segment everything out, feel accomplished from completing the smaller goals, and avoid burning out on any single activity. I hate to bring this into it, but if you've had a corporate job like I have, you have heard of the SMART model of goal setting. Make sure your goal is specific, measurable, which everything in RuneScape is, attainable. Make sure that it is not something that is completely unrealistic for yourself. You want it to be something that is relevant to the end goal of the max cape, but for the love of God, do not put a timer on yourself. Do not make this time-based. RuneScape is a video game. It is not real life. I know what you're thinking. Does he really expect me to do all of these? Yes. Yes, I do. Get yourself the quest cape. Just don't think about it. Just do it. This will give you access to all of the pieces of content in the game. Tons of quests grant experience rewards, and just getting the requirements to complete all of the quests is going to get you up to a bare minimum of $14.95 total, but you will likely be much higher by the time you are completed. Besides, you don't even really have to do the quests anymore. Quest Helper does all of it for you. In a similar vein, when you are done with all of your quests, it is time to set your sights on the diary cape. That's right, completing all of the diaries. They give you some awesome perks, tons of experience lamps, and it will be a good way for you to structure out your grinding for each and every skill. Unlike the quest cape, the diaries do have some serious requirements to them, so this would be a really good way for you to figure out which skills to train and how high to train them before moving on to the next one. Finishing the diary cape will put you around 2K total, assuming you have the absolute minimum requirement in all skills, but this also assumes you have very low combat skills. Another big goal that I suggest you tackle before moving on to the final stages of maxing your account is getting your infernal cape. The Inferno is some of the best designed content in the game and the most fulfilling experience to date. It's a ton of fun once you start to get it down, and I do understand that it might seem daunting at first, but it is very doable for any player who is even the slightest bit dedicated to it. You might have seen those people on Reddit who took like 90 tries to get the Inferno done. Just realize that those are extreme outliers, and it is not going to take you that many attempts. There are a ton of great resources on YouTube, and just try to learn from each failure and do a little bit better next time. Why am I putting this in this video? Because I don't want you wearing one of these. Because I care about you. Wanted to leave you with one last piece of sagely advice. If you are feeling burnt out, which I guarantee you will, take a break. I actually haven't played this game in about a week because I got bored of it. It's insane to force yourself to continue playing a video game if you're not having fun doing it. Your goals and account will be there when you get the itch to play again. Before we dive into my next topic, this video is graciously sponsored by myself. I don't have other sponsors. I am a small YouTube channel. If you could like the video, that would help me out tremendously by getting this video recommended to others. For this section of the video, I want to go through all of the skills and share with you my favorite methods for training them to 99. I'm not going to be starting at 1 for each of them just because in the prior section we talked about getting the quest cape and the diary cape. So I'm assuming that you have some skill in them already, and I'm going to be basing these methods off of that. The first skills that I do want to talk about are your combat skills. First, I wanted to focus on melee, meaning attack, strength, and defense. The way you gain experience in combat skills is by doing damage to enemies. You gain 4 experience points per damage that you do to an enemy, along with 1.33 per damage in your hit point skill. This means that you want to maximize your DPS to maximize your experience. My absolute favorite way to train combat is through Slayer. You're getting Slayer experience, so you're killing 2 birds with 1 stone. You get a nice variety of different tasks, and you can also get tasks that boost you on certain important in-game activities like Jad, Zuck, and certain bosses. Not to mention, the Slayer Helm gives you almost a 17% DPS increase while on a Slayer task. If you're looking for an AFK method, feel free to throw on Auto Retaliate and head over to Ammonite Crabs You could also do sand crabs or rock crabs if you don't have the quest requirement. Nightmare Zone can be utilized as well for another very low intensity training method. If you are getting bored of conventional training or you wanted to make some extra money, you can always train your skills through raids and other PvM encounters. I want to leave you guys with a couple of tips that I didn't discuss. Is one, since we are trying to maximize our damage, you want to stay potted at all times to maximize the damage and thus your experience. And also, your attack speed does matter. Don't be that guy who's doing his normal Slayer task with a Fang. You are massively nerfing yourself. Magic works the same way as all of the other combat skills. You gain 4 experience per damage that you do. The biggest difference is that you are able to attack multiple enemies at once using the burst and barrage spells on the ancient magic spellbook. You need the enemies to be within a 3x3 square grid of each other. A good way to do this is to run through them, which should stack them up into one spot where you can then barrage them all in one clump. While I'm personally a fan of the Slayer skill for the reasons that we mentioned previously, you can also barrage other monsters. Maniacal monkeys after the Monkey Madness 2 quest are another very popular choice. If you want maximum AFK, you are going to want to try out splashing. It's not very much experience, but you can leave your computer on for 25 minutes at a time while doing this. Basically, you are lowering your magic attack bonus below -64, so you can never damage an enemy. You target a low level enemy that can never damage you back, and you get the base XP for casting the spell. As I said before, you want to get your magic bonus below -64, and this is a good cheap setup to achieve that. While I would never recommend alching for experience, alching while doing agility is a good way to get passive magic experience while training the agility skill. Another better alternative to splashing is killing crabs. You get the full experience for cast, and it's almost as AFK as splashing. No real big secret here, honestly, just barrage your Slayer task. Ranged is super similar to the other combat skills, so I won't be spending as much time on it. The absolute fastest method is going to be chinning in the Monkey Cave. This is very expensive though, so I wouldn't recommend it unless you have the money to blow. My overall recommendation for training range is going to be the blowpipe and the cannon on your Slayer task. This way, you kill the 2 birds with 1 stone, like we've talked about with every other skill, and the blowpipe and cannon both do a ton of damage. As with all of the other combat skills, raiding is going to be a great way for you to train the skill and make money at the same time. There's really only one way to train your prayer skill, and that is at the Chaos Altar in the wilderness. You can do 1 inventory trips if you want, but I do recommend that you bring noted bones. You can bring a super low cost tank setup like this, which makes you borderline invincible. I only risk about 100k other than my bones in this setup, and you are getting north of 1 million experience per hour. Honestly, I only died once between 90 and 99 prayer. If you dress up tanky enough, most of the PKers end up giving up. Even if you end up dying a couple of times, it's not the end of the world. You have to lose more than half of your bones to make the Gilded Altar a better choice. Unlike pretty much every other skill, prayer's experience rate does not change depending on your level, so just do this method all the way to 99. For runecrafting, I recommend doing Guardians of the Rift until you have the full runecrafting outfit. After you have the full outfit, my favorite method is Zaya runecrafting. It's super AFK. You can do this on mobile while you're doing other stuff, and you just really don't have to pay a lot of attention. At 77 runecrafting, you're able to make blood runes for about 30 to 35k an hour, depending on how AFK you are. At 90, I do recommend you switch over to soul runes. You are going to make less money than if you just stuck with bloods all the way. However, you are going to get around 40 to 45k experience per hour, which saves almost 40 hours on your grind to 99. Zaya runecrafting also gives you regular crafting and mining experience. Getting 99 in these methods will also provide you with 1.2 mil crafting and 1.4 mil mining experience. Because of this, you should max your runecrafting level before you max your crafting and mining levels. It's also a really good one to get out of the way first because you don't want to be like me and leave all the slow skills for the very end. Oh man, construction. Honestly, there's no shortcuts, there's no tips or tricks in this. You're just going to be spending a ton of money to level up your construction, and I recommend you do it as fast as humanly possible before you get carpal tunnel and your entire wrist is messed up for the next year or so. My recommendation is here to do gnome benches. Mahogany planks is going to be your best bet. You can, if you're really on the ball, you can get around 1 million experience an hour. I would expect to get somewhere between 700 and 800k an hour using your demon butler to get you more planks. You're going to spend an absolute ton of money, but at least this grind is going to be over with rather quickly. If you're shorter on cash, you can do mahogany homes. It's also a good way to knock out some of those collection logs. It's going to be much slower than spamming mahogany planks, but it is going to save you a lot of money. Don't expect it to be cheap though. You're still going to be spending some coin, but it's a decent alternative. You can find some middle ground with teak planks instead of using mahoganies. You could make teak benches instead of the mahogany benches. The only thing I would really recommend you not doing is mounted mythical capes. If you go on the wiki, it's going to be the cheapest option on there. They take forever. It's just really not worth your time. Don't bother with it. Hit points, you get this for free by doing your other combat skills. Big congrats, bro. Agility is hands down the worst skill in old school RuneScape. It's mind-numbingly boring. The experience rates, even with the highest intensity methods, are not good. You have to reach 92 to break 90k experience an hour. And honestly, if you're not really good at the Spulker, you're not getting 90k anyways. So honestly, a bum skill overall. If you're going to be doing something, if you're looking for something low intensity, rooftops aren't that bad. I would start with the Camelot rooftop until 82. You could switch to Firemaking after that, or you could just keep on going. Honestly, stopping at 80 is pretty much only for Iron Men because of Marks of Grace. As a main account, you can buy stamina, so you don't really need these. Honestly, there's not too much to say about this. Personally, I would suggest switching over to the Sepulcher at 82 agility. Technically, it's better earlier than 82, but I think 82 is a good happy medium because the extra effort of the Sepulcher I don't think is really worth it until you unlock floor 4, but that's just my personal way that I feel about it. If you really love doing the Sepulcher, switch earlier. It's going to be a better experience anyways. If you're 82, if you're on PC and you can handle some high intensity gameplay, the Hallowed Sepulcher is, in my opinion, the best piece of skilling content Jagex has released. Yeah, I know I said that agility is the worst skill in the game and that this is also the best piece of skilling content. Both things can be true. Anyways, the Hallowed Sepulcher really gets fun after you get 92 and you can unlock that final floor. The traps and the different obstacles that you have to traverse do require a lot of learning at the start, but it's really satisfying once you get it down. For Herblore, you're going to be making potions to 99. You're going to be buying the unfinished potions and you're going to be adding the secondaries to them. Don't make your own unfinished potions and don't clean your own herbs. It's a massive waste of time. The wiki has a fantastic page which breaks down the cost per experience of making each potion. I suggest you pick a potion which has a good amount of experience per potion, which will give you a better XP rate per hour, but also something that is cheaper per experience to make. Right now, super restores and super defenses are really good. Super defenses are a little bit better since they give you more per potion. But honestly, I recommend you checking this page before you purchase your unfinished and your secondaries to make. This is going to change over time. You might be watching this a year after I'm making this with this page up on my screen. So things will be different when you're on your grind. Thieving, I'm a little out of touch with this. I do like Arty Nights. The only difference from when I did Arty Nights and when you guys would be doing Arty Nights, if you're getting it after watching this video, is the coin pouch, which I think is the worst update that Jagex has ever made for old school RuneScape. Basically makes this a lot less chill. Before, you could just put on a show, tape over your mouse so it would never move, and just spam click the entire time. You could do what I did and have a Bluetooth mouse, just tape over that bad boy, you know, hang out with friends, just click away. It was really nice back in the day, but still a great training method. I think you can get up to 300,000 experience per hour, although it is a little bit less good than it used to be. Hurricane is also supposed to be really good. This wasn't really a thing when I got it, so I don't know too much about it, but there are tons of guides out there if you're looking for something a little bit less click intensive. So personally, what I would do is I would either blackjack or squirk till I was 85 or 90 or so, and then switch over to Arty Knights and finish it up there. Crafting is another one of those skills where you're just gonna have to spend the money to get it done. The more money you spend, the faster it's going to be. As a main, I would avoid blowing glass. If you're an Iron Man, you basically have to blow glass. But I would try to find something that is a happy medium between the spend that you're putting out and the experience that you're getting. Personally, I did black dehides all the way. And honestly, if I was gonna do this today, I would do black dehide bodies all over again. You're gonna spend bank doing it. This is actually like twice as expensive as Herblore, which is kind of crazy. It was not like that when I did it. But you're coming in at around 400k an hour. You got to take wiki rates with a grain of salt. And then if you are hurting on cash, you could do air battle staffs. It looks like it's only 1.61 GP per experience. So you're sacrificing like 30% of your time in order to save a ton of money. So if you don't make money that fast, or if you're a little bit short on cash, air battle staffs, another really good option for you. And just moving up here into gems, in case you were thinking about that, cutting diamonds is actually worse than the air battle staffs and is 3 times as expensive, so I would avoid them entirely. For fletching, I would honestly stay away from bows unless like you're really broke. Honestly, even if you're really broke, go make some money, and then we're gonna be fletching darts. Wow, I feel kind of bad suggesting this at this point because it is so much more expensive now than when I did it, but this is gonna be your fastest possible method. If you have the money to blow, I just do dragon darts the whole way. You're gonna get more than 1,000,000 experience per hour because you can spam these as fast as your fingers can move. However, it's gonna cost you more than crafting and Herblore combined, so if you are gonna do these, be ready to shell it out. A good runner-up, if you don't want to spend that much money on your fletching skill, would be to make arrows. Dragon arrows, you know, that's like 1/5. It's less than 1/5 the cost of doing it with darts. It is going to get you almost 700,000 experience an hour, which is still really good. The only difference is that you can't spam it as fast as you can. You kind of have to wait for the game to make them for you. All things considered, my final recommendation is actually going to be doing the arrows. 700k an hour is still really good, and it's going to be 5 times less expensive, 6 times less expensive, so I would go that route. Maxing out your Slayer skill is going to be all about how you choose your tasks and how you choose to do those tasks. You are going to want to focus on tasks that you can either cannon, barrage, both, or tasks that give you a large XP bonus like Jad and Zuck. In no particular order, some of my favorites, Jad, Zuck, Suckwas, Nex, Bloodvelds, Smoke Devils, and to a lesser extent, Dust Devils and Jellies. I feel they don't have as much experience as some of the other barrage tasks, but they're still better than your average Slayer task. And even if the task isn't a great XP task, you can always just blitz through it with a cannon and Expeditious Bracelets. Hunting, or the hunter skill. I always thought it was weird that they called it the hunter skill. So the hunting skill was actually the last one that I maxed before I maxed my account. So I'm the freshest on this out of anything. What you should absolutely be doing is birdhouses as much and as often as you can stomach. It's great passive experience, it's good passive GP, and it also does give you bird eggs if you are going for those collection look slots. So I bounced between black Chinchampas, 3-ticking them, and Herblore for my last like 15 levels for Hunter, and after having done many hours of both of them, I think you should just stick with Herblore unless you really want the Chinchampa pet or you really want to try anti-PKing. Actually, honestly, I think I saw 3-4 PKers the entire time in like 5 million experience out there. I don't think it's worth it. And the Herblore is only slightly slower, and if you miss ticks, 3-ticking, and if you're like a little bit lazy about it, Herblore can actually be better experience per hour. So take that how you will. If you want a chiller experience with almost as good of experience per hour, I would personally suggest that you do Herblore from 80 onwards. Mining is one of the slowest skills in the game, and I like to split this one up into kind of 2 different categories here. Either completely AFK or Semi-AFK, laid back. What I'm talking about is either stars or volcanic mine. Stars are great now that they've updated them. Competition does not matter, so you're not trying to find a secluded one by yourself to camp, and you can just AFK for an extended amount of time. The experience that you do get from stars is going to be comparable to Motherlode Mine with the amount of attention that I'm paying to either of them. Motherlode Mine, if you're like really babysitting it, can be more, but I don't see the point of that. You might as well go to Volcanic Mine at that point and get twice as much experience. The best way to find stars is going to be the Star Miners Discord. I'll leave a link to that down in the description below the video. Volcanic Mine is going to be your main method for getting 99. It has the best animation for a teleport in the game. Look at that, it's beautiful. Anyways, you're going to get upwards to 90 to 95,000 experience per hour, which honestly is going to beat out 3-tick for granite if you miss any ticks on the granite anyways, so you might as well be here chilling, spending like 1 minute just AFK and moving on to the next rock. It might seem a little intimidating at first, but I made a guide. Just go through my channel, search Volcanic Mine Guide, it should be in there, and join the Volcanic Mine Discord. It's a lot easier than they make it seem. The vast majority of your experience is going to be coming from gold at the blast furnace. You're going to get around 350,000 experience per hour, which is honestly pretty good. It's fairly cook intensive. It's pretty boring, but at least you get it over with fast. If you do want to switch some things up and go for some collection logs, the Giant's Foundry is another really good choice that I enjoy, but the bulk of your experience is going to be here at the good old blast furnace. Thinking back on it, with the fishing skill, I think I might rather max agility again than try to do like 1 to 99 fishing. Honestly, there's only 2 methods that I would recommend for the fishing skill, and neither of them are the slightest bit good. The first of which is Temperos. The experience here, it's not very good. The rewards here are also not very good. It's just one of those scenarios where this is better than the alternatives. I would do the bulk of the experience here at Barbarian Fishing, 50, 60, maybe even 70k experience an hour. I would just AFK this, drop the inventory, rinse and repeat. The problem is there's just no real good other methods, so this is probably the best you got. For cooking, I suggest you just do the classic AFK range cooking. You can get about 250 to 300k an hour depending on what fish you use. You could triple this by 1-ticking karambwans, but that's incredibly click intensive. AFK cooking is really good experience as is, and if you're going to do something super click intensive, you might as well be doing something else. Wintertime. The whole way. And there's people out there that say sailing isn't complex enough to be a skill on its own. Redwoods, you're going to live here. It's the best AFK activity in the game. Fishing should really update the amount of experience per anglerfish to bring it in line with this, since it's kind of like a similar gist of slow to chop, but these give you a ton of experience, which is great. You're going to get about 65,000 experience an hour here at Redwoods. I do recommend the Infernal Axe, as it's going to give you some passive firemaking experience, and it's going to allow you to AFK a little bit longer than you would have otherwise. Before Redwoods, I do like Blisterwoods a lot. I think it's a good ratio of AFK to experience, and Forestry is out now, so Forestry would be another really good method since you do get a ton of bonus experience from all the random events. Farming, pretty straightforward. I like to treat this one like a daily activity. Just once a day, do a tree and fruit tree run. Just combine the 2 of them, do the best trees and fruit trees that you can do, and very quickly you will have 99 farming, and just the amount of actual time that you put in will be extremely minimal. At the end of the day, these are just my favorite ways to do everything. If you don't like these and you want to do something different, by all means do something different. What's going to make you successful with the end goal of maxing your account is doing grinds that you enjoy doing or hate doing slightly less. That way you're not going to get burnt out, and if you end up feeling burnt out, just take a break and come back doing a little bit. It's fine. Do something that you're gonna have more fun doing. And yeah, I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to like the video. It really helps me out. Get recommended to other people by the almighty YouTube algorithm. And if you did really enjoy the video, make sure that you do subscribe. I'm gonna be putting out a lot of new content this year. And yeah, Happy New Year.